Hey everyone, it's Abra. I just got back earlier today from seeing the Deadpool movie, Deadpool and Wolverine, and I thought I'd share some of my thoughts regarding the movie. This was a highly anticipated movie. A lot of people were just on edge waiting for it to come out. And so the big day came, I finally got to see it, and I just wanted to share my thoughts. For those who aren't aware, this is the third movie in the Deadpool franchise. The last one came out in 2018, I believe. And it was okay. I prefer the first Deadpool movie, I think, overall to the second one. There were some neat scenes in the second one, but I think overall, the addition of that kid being the younger version of the main villain, I didn't really like all that much. I just his personality and kind of quirks and quips just didn't really gel with me. It's one of those where I'm not going to go out of my way to watch multiple times. And again, that's something that I use as a barometer when deciding how good a movie is would I want to see it again. Moving ahead to Deadpool and Wolverine, this was a bit of a treat, and I think something that Disney has been needing for quite some time because they've had a series of just real duds lately. And ever since Endgame, the Marvel Cinematic Universe has kind of really struggled to recapture the magic that it once had. When the news broke that Hugh Jackman was going to be on board, I think they got a lot of people excited, and I think it probably got some people scratching their heads wondering how in the world he was going to return because his character was retired in the 2017 movie Logan. He ends up sacrificing himself so his kind of offspring X-23 is able to survive. He goes out like a hero. He makes that noble sacrifice, and it was just a good way for Hugh Jackman to kind of hang up the claws, so to speak. Right now, this movie is sitting kind of pretty. It is currently 80%, I believe, on Rotten Tomatoes. I think that's what it was. Yeah, 80% on Rotten Tomatoes with the critics, and a whopping 97% with the audience score. So, not bad, not bad. The movie was directed by Sean Levy, and it was written by Ryan Reynolds, Rhett Reese, and Paul Wernick. So, of course, Ryan Reynolds is known for pretty much playing Ryan Reynolds, and but he kind of just captures, I think, what people have come to expect from the Merc with the mouth, and he he kind of, I think, captures the essence of the character pretty well. The premise is it is Deadpool's or Wade Wilson's birthday. He's been feeling kind of low. He's tried to reach out to join the Avengers after already being turned down by the X-Men, and he's trying to find meaning in his life because the Avengers have made this great sacrifice and they've saved the world a number of times, but he hasn't really done anything of great note. So he wants to try to be a part of a team that will be something bigger and bring more meaning to his life. This strife kind of causes some friction between he and his lady Vanessa, who is played by the beautiful Morena Baccarin. So he's kind of down in the dumps, but he's celebrating at his birthday party when all of a sudden he is ambushed by some agents from the TVA, which is the Time Variance Authority. They're described as a bureaucratic organization. They're kind of located outside of time and space, and I guess they kind of keep a watchful eye over everything. They end up bringing him into the headquarters where he is confronted by Mr. Paradox, played by Matthew Fadian, and he says that each universe kind of has its own anchor being, and that since in his universe, the anchor being has been destroyed, has died. In this case, it was Hugh Jackman's Logan from the Logan movie. With him dying, there's nothing really to keep Wade's universe together, and so it is going to be wiped out. So in order to prevent this, Deadpool decides to jump to different universes, different timelines, to try to find one with a Wolverine that will be able to replace Logan as the new anchor being. And so that kind of kicks off the funny little montage of Wade, jumping from universe to universe, trying to find a proper Wolverine. And there, during that entire scene, there are some pretty interesting meetings there that I found quite amusing. And in fact, one very interesting cameo that I won't spoil. I'm going to try to avoid spoilers here because I know it will be a lot more enjoyable for you viewers if you get as few spoilers as possible. Anyway, he ends up finding a version of Wolverine that is not quite the best version, but it happens to be the version he needs. But this version of Logan is very hesitant. He's burdened with huge guilt and sadness for what happened to his universe. Wade kind of goes off to this void where it's kind of like the wasteland, the dumping grounds for individuals or beings from timelines that just are kind of popped out of existence. And it's kind of interesting. It kind of conjures up the feelings of Mad Max. In fact, that's played up a lot within the movie. I kind of got the feeling that most of this movie's budget was used for the large amount of cameos that they had, and not so much on the with the set pieces and everything. Although there are some pretty spectacular shots in the void, but for the most part it's a desert kind of wasteland. But there were lots of interesting elements incorporated to kind of break up the drab desert landscape. This movie really shines. It has a couple of really impressive fights between Deadpool and Wolverine, which I'm sure are going to make a lot of comic book fans very happy. The movements that Hugh Jackman utilized when he was portraying Wolverine, and just from his stance, it's more comic book like than previous iterations of Wolverine that Hugh Jackman has played. It was so cool to finally see Hugh Jackman in the classic golden blue getup that people remember from the comics, but you also get a couple other nice little pearls there that were included in the movie to really make the comic book fans and the keen-eyed viewer smile quite a bit. There's kind of a huge fight during the end of the second act, beginning of the third act, and unfortunately, they decided to utilize the shaky camera, and they do have moments where there's clarity and you can see what's going on. But that is a huge pet peeve of mine. I do hate the cop out of the shaky camera. It's really strange. It's like they either have a lot of those really hyper slow-mo scenes and you get a lot of detail, or it's like they do the shaky fast camera thing where it's like you're trying to see what's going on. In terms of the cameos, I thought that they were really good. There were some people that I would have expected to see that weren't there, and certain people that ended up making an appearance that I was like, wow, you're really going to have them. The returning Deadpool cast, they didn't really get utilized that much, but the actress that plays Blind Owl, Leslie Uggams, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I think she just really embraced this character, even though, it's not a major role, but she's hilarious. I really get a kick out of her.
You holding? I'm all out of devil's dandruff and I'm shaking like an angry vibrator.
Thank you, Al.
That banter that she and Wade have back and forth because they're roommates it's hysterical. Another thing about the movie, I think that Ryan Reynolds, of course, he really captures the essence of Deadpool, in my opinion. However, I think there are moments where he probably could have pulled back a little bit. I think he should have shown a little more restraint. There were times where it just kind of seemed like this joke is going on a little too much, or, it's not quite hitting. I would have liked to have seen Sean Levy kind of say, okay, all right, Ryan, let's tone it down slightly. Hugh Jackman did a really good job. He played the role very seriously. It kind of helped balance out Ryan's craziness a little bit. So I think it needed that. And had Hugh not played it that way, I think it would have just the movie might have ventured off into the really ludicrous. The Deadpool movies are kind of known for being more, adult oriented. So it deals with, mature themes, and it has a lot of mature language. And that was one of the things that was kind of another sticking point with me. Was I think they dropped the F-bomb just a little too much. Like, it was thrown around a little too easily. It seemed like almost every other word or in every sentence, it's almost like Monty Python's, use of the F word, and you could use it in every word of a sentence. The fucking f***ers. It gets to be a bit much. In terms of the actual story, I thought the plot was a bit weak. I think it was probably the easiest way to kind of bring all the nostalgia bait in for the fans and have all these returning characters. But yeah, I think the whole multiverse thing, I think people are kind of getting a little bit sick of it at this point, although I think they handled it fairly well. The ending, the resolution kind of fell a bit flat for me, because it's kind of funny. At the beginning of the movie, Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool even points out, he's like, oh, the MacGuffin of the movie. So yeah, when they're at the climax of the movie and trying to address that and resolve everything, my mind started to kind of go, okay, this is a little tired and kind of a weak plot. But I mean, most people, I think they know what they're getting into when they go to see the Deadpool movie. They're going to watch fighting. They're going to watch Ryan Reynolds and have his, the quips of Deadpool, the over-the-top violence. That's kind of what people are looking for. I would say at the end of the day, this movie's okay. I really appreciated as a fan, and I'm not a huge comic book fan like many of you out there. I'm still relatively brand new to comics, but I think for the tried and true fans, especially ones that have been following Deadpool for decades, will really get a kick out of this. Again, for those that really pay attention, there's lots of little Easter eggs and tributes in there. For the end credits, they do have an interesting thing when the initial credits roll. You get to see old, behind the scenes footage from the old Fox movies. So it was neat, all the way back to the original X-Men from, God, what was it, 99, 2000, and Blade and all of that. It was neat to see them kind of pay tribute to that. Overall, for me, I think that this movie was probably about maybe a 6.5, 7 out of 10. But if you look online and you see people's reviews, they just seem to be loving it. And a lot of that could be due to nostalgia. And I think, it's been such a long time since we've had a really good comic book movie. That could be affecting people's standards a little bit. I think there are a lot of tropes that are kind of reused in this movie. The ones from the previous movie, it kind of fell into the trap of a lot of the Marvel movies, where it kind of becomes formulaic. Well, the first two Deadpool movies kind of had their formula that they established, and this one kind of follows along in that same way. I see this movie doing really well at the box office. I'd be surprised if it didn't. I think Disney will probably want to milk the teat of Deadpool and Wolverine again.
They're going to make him do this till he's 90.
So I wouldn't be surprised if they try to have the characters appear somewhere else in some other fashion. Yeah, that's pretty much my 2 cents on Deadpool and Wolverine. I give it a recommend, especially if you've been around for for a couple decades now and have experienced the Fox Marvel movies and then the Disney Marvel movies. I think you'll really get something out of this. Definitely check it out.